Hey up everyone, and welcome back to the Eastern Front for another game of Combat Mission Red Thunder. Now, if you remember at the end of the last game, I said what my opponent did was swap over. So now I'm defending the place as the Germans and he's attacking as the Russians. I wanted to try a different kind of format for this video. I wanted you to see everything that goes on. The downside is that it's a total pain in the arse to commentate on, and after a couple of attempts I've just given up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain to you the theory behind what I'm doing here, and you guys can watch it play out. And some of you are going to be wondering exactly what it is that I'm up to, because the way my forces are spread about on the map might look like they're not particularly set up to defend anything. You'll also have noticed that I haven't got the objective lit up. That's because I'm not going to be able to stop my opponent getting into the objective. He's the attacker and I'm the defender, so he has a bigger force that he can choose where to apply, and I have a smaller force that I have to spread out in case of every eventuality, or risk throwing all my eggs in one basket. So I'm not going to stop him getting into the objective, but at the same time he's going to find it very difficult to clear me out of it completely. All I need is one little pixel schütze hanging about in there to contest it, and for nobody to get any points. The objective is basically going to be null and void for everybody. So what I want to do is I want to inflict casualties and waste his time. And to do that, we've got a very German style of defence. This came about during the First World War and it's German guys, but if you look back through history it keeps popping up. It's very similar to what Wellington did at Waterloo, for example. So out in front we have an outpost line, and this serves as some early warning. Remember, I can't set up in advance to stonewall my opponent, so what I need to do is work out where he's coming in from so that I can react, and that's part of the job of the outpost line. It's just a couple of two-man teams hanging around in the woods. Mostly they're going to be acting as listening posts, because if anybody gets close enough to see them, they're going to get shot. And if they manage to inflict some casualties, spring a couple of little ambushes, then all the better. Because if my opponent starts thinking that there's a load of Germans hanging around in these woods, it's going to slow him down, he's going to take some time out to clear them, and that all works for me. Next up, we have the main battle area, or the main engagement area, or whatever you want to call it. This is where all the killing is going to take place if everything goes to plan. And as you can see, it's mostly empty. This is to maximise the effect of the fog of war, because my opponent isn't going to know that it's mostly empty. It's very reasonable to expect there to be some kind of forces in those woods in the centre, and it's very sensible for the attacker to spend a good amount of time engaged in reconnaissance trying to spot what's down there. And he has to start thinking, am I not seeing anything because there's nothing there, or because it's well hidden? Am I going to spot it if I carry on waiting? And that's a pretty powerful tool to get the attacker to waste his time, which obviously works for the defender. There are a few weakly held little strong points in places that I can't afford not to have people, or places where I want to keep an eye out. And their job is to absorb whatever comes at them and slow my opponent down again. I also have, in the woods on either side of the gap in the middle, I have some target reference points. Those woods are part of the objective, and obviously I don't want to stack up troops in there because I don't want to have anyone in obvious positions. So instead I have some target reference points. If I think the enemy's getting in there, I can just bomb the crap out of it with little or no warning, which is a useful trick to have up my sleeve. Finally, I've got my counter-attack force, or my reserve. These two infantry platoons at the back here constitute 2/3 of my entire force, and I need to keep them safe. Remember, I'm trying to win on casualties here, so I need to keep my own casualties down. So these two infantry platoons are going to be sat at the back, in the dip where this railway line is, out of sight, hopefully out of trouble. No one's going to be in a position to shoot at them. Hopefully they won't have to do anything. The two Panthers, on the other hand, are my main killing force, and they're going to be repositioning in hull down positions along the railway dip in accordance with whatever the outpost line sees coming. And I'm going to keep them moving, keep shuffling them about to maximise my opponent's uncertainty. I don't want him to find out how many tanks I have, and I don't want him to find out where they are. That's going to slow him down because everybody wants concrete information before they make decisions. So, that's the plan, that's the theory. The outpost line at the front provides information to let the reserve at the back deploy for maximum effect. The space in between them is just one big killing ground. Let's see how it pans out. So, there we are, a minor victory for the Germans thanks to a bit of flexible defence in depth. A big shout out to John, who was my opponent for these two games. We had a really good time getting to grips with each other's style of play and giving the other one a good run for his money all the time. That's it for now though. Don't forget to comment, rate and subscribe, guys. This different style of video is a bit of an experiment, and I know that it's a little rough around the edges, but let me know what you think, what works, what doesn't, how I can improve it. As for the next video, well, expect something a bit snowy.